So before I began this Eyewear project, I got some images of inspiration. Everyone can see my screen, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, like this is just Pinterest, right? Like I was looking at different images. Just trying to get into like understanding the product. Like do see like there are some hinges here. This is, for example, probably like is introduced with heat into the plastic here. We have rivets here that are basically attaching the hinge to the temple. I'm looking at like some other concepts, trying to understand the product itself. There's some 3D printed examples. We have like some curvature here. This curvature probably like we could model that at the end. We could model everything flat and then start adding the curvature at the end with a feature called Flex, and I will show you how to use Flex. These are some 3D printing examples of the things that we can do, right? Yeah, just checking the process. Dang, that's it for it. I found this one. I really like the concept, like very rounded, very industrial looking. A couple of like plastic and metal combined, right? And then had a couple of sketches that I used for this. I did this very quickly after I saw a couple of samples. So basically what I want to do with this is have a plastic piece, right? Like it's going to be underneath this. The lens is going to be this whole circular area, and it's going to be attached with rivets, right? Just as flare. This is going to be a hinge right here. This is going to be a bridge, and it's going to be attached here by screws. If you notice, for example, to sketch this, I use a compass. In this case, I'm saying that this is going to be 5 centimeters or 50 millimeters. And I measured this with calipers, right? Like I took some of the samples, some of the eyewear pieces that I have, and I measured them. This is, for example, a close-up of like how this hinge is going to look. It's going to be introduced into the plastic. And I have a couple of other sketches. This is, for example, I basically took one of the glasses that I own, and then I traced the curvature of the top, right? This is the hinge area. Like as you can see, it's slightly thicker, and this will be where the bridge connects with the other side, right? And I do see a slight curvature there, right? So I just want to keep that in mind. And I also sketch a side view of this. So the next thing that I do with this is that as we have been working with SolidWorks, we know like it's very useful to have sketches that you can use as reference in your planes, right? So for example, I took one of those images. I did some Photoshop in here, right? So I basically took the same image, mirrored it, so I get the whole view of the whole symmetry of the front of the glasses. I also process this image like that, which is going to be a top. It could be slightly, I probably could have like moved this a little bit, like angle it, but that's okay. And that's the side. And then I saved this 3 times as JPEGs, hiding each of the other ones, right? So I was able to get those 3 images as JPEGs, and then I introduced them into SolidWorks, right? Very similar to what we did with the Tide bottle. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do here is I have my 3 images set up. I'm gonna start creating some sketches. I think the best way to build this is I look for a reference product. I think this one is close to what I want to build, right? So I understand that I'm gonna have 2 plastic parts at least, right? So it's gonna be my lenses, my frames. These frames are gonna be plastic. This is gonna be metal. This might be plastic. I didn't define that yet. But then what I could do is just start modeling one of them, right? So in this case, what I want to do is start modeling the outer contour of this based on my sketch. So I'm gonna go to my front plane, sketch. In this case, I just want to start using my spline tool to start creating the shape. Part of my concept is that it's very circular. So what I could do here is add a couple of lines. I'm gonna try to keep this center around the lenses. I'm gonna use my solid spline connected to this one. If it's very hard to see with the sketch, I could take this image, double click on it, and then decrease the opacity or the transparency so I can see better. Make this tangent right there. I don't want to make just this spline tangent. I want to keep this diameter. I'm also going to define this center. There you go. Okay. Now, if I make this tangent, it should just affect the spline. There you go. In this case, what I'm doing is that I'm adding the necessary dimensions so I could have this stylus spline as defined as possible, so it won't change much. So the only thing that I'm missing is just fixing this point. Sorry about noise. So then here, And I could get by using here just straight line. When I sketched this, I realized that this could be good if it was at least 5 millimeters. And I can use my stylus point right here. So it depends where I would like to connect this. I would like it to make it to be for this to be tangent. With the circle, right? So I'm gonna zoom in, taking that control point, select this. It should be tangent at that point. That gives me some wiggle room, right? But you see what's happening here with this, right? So I think I'm gonna add another some couple dimensions so this doesn't move anymore, right? So for example, you see like how now I have a lot more control here, right? If, for example, I decide to increase the overhang here, what I could do is just do right click and insert the control vertex here. So that now I could also move this one, right? Depending on my preference. Could, for example, add another one here. And now that will start giving me more of a better curvature there, right? But I'm trying to match my sketch. So I'll probably decrease this one. I could also click on this line and show the curvature, just so I can see what's going on here. It looks nice. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to look at the curvature. I'm trying to make it as even as possible in this location. Things like this help a lot when you're machining plastic. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it like that. I like that. I'm just gonna show the hide the curvature. I will probably need to add a couple of dimensions so it doesn't move anymore. That might be overkill. Yeah, that might be overkill because I have a lot of little points. So what I'm gonna do instead is just fix this. Well, if I fix it, it will break. Interesting. Let's see. Can I fix that? Nope. I'm gonna leave it like that. I just gotta be careful not to touch it. Then now this area right here, I didn't really make a lot of sketches on how the shape would look, but if I use this one as a reference, I actually like this a lot, right? A little curvature here, so my bridge comes out from the top. So maybe see. Okay. So if I look well at this is probably these two lines could be concentric here, and slightly there is some tangential change. That's how I will get this one. So I'm gonna try to do the same here. I'm going to Let's see. Tangent. Just leave it there, right? I just gotta make sure that this line and these are tangent as well. Then I could see a change. I do. And then I also need another curvature here, so I'm gonna use a tangent arc again. If anything, I can maybe drop a point here, just so that I have control of that point, and I could attach my tangent arc there. Won't let me. Well, if it won't let me in, I'm just gonna sketch the arc the way I want to. Just attach it myself, right? I need another point here, so I'm gonna insert another control vertex, just so I can take this line and make it tangent here. Ooh. Maybe this, do this. So I'm trying a couple of dimensions here and there, just so I can make sure that the lines that are very prone to move on its own are just steady. So those, for example, this arc, I dimensioned the radius, I dimension the location of this point, and I dimension the location of this other point, right? So when I do my tangent constraint here with this vertex line, this arc will not move, right? Also, I'm saving, control save. I think I like that. I might have the same issue here, so I'm just gonna throw dimensions right now. So I'm going to dimension the length. Dimension this point. How do I dimension this one? Oh, okay. Then now I can do my tangent here. I'm not sure if I like that. It looks weird. A little bit more like that. That looks better. More circular. That looks way cooler. All right, yeah. So like this is, for example, one of those cases where I didn't really sketch a lot of things here, right? Like I left that up to the little thumbnail sketch that I created. So those are like the areas where you can create a lot more sketches. So for example, yeah, like that little bridge. I think I'm happy with that. Let's see, this circular, that looks good. I am not convinced about this one. Now we'll see. Okay, so I did that. I'm gonna do save again. So now the plan is that I'm gonna trim this, right? I just wanna get rid of this inner circle. So I'm gonna use my power trim. Hopefully nothing breaks. Just be very careful with the lines here. And because I was careful enough with my constraints, the way that I created coincident constraints, tangential constraints, I ended up with a whole close contour for the lenses, right? Pause here, correct. Okay, so I got this part done. I click OK, Control Save. So my idea for these glasses is that the lenses are gonna go on top. But now that I think about it, the lenses might need to, I will need to have a little bit of rim here. I want the lenses to sit in a little indentation that is gonna be carved into the plastic, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new sketch. That is gonna be a base for that indentation. So I could put it there, and that will be there. That's what the lens is gonna be. So maybe there. Now I think this one could be my first extrusion. I don't think there's anything else I need to do. I could create the hinge later. Right now, I'm just gonna start creating this plastic piece. See surfaces, extrusion. Let's do it in this direction. So it matches that. Measure mine. I'm making at least 5 for now. So that will be the beginning of my glasses there. Now, if this is gonna be the edge where that little indentation starts, I'm gonna create another one where will be where the lenses sit. So in this case, this could be, because I added these little circles here, that's where the little rivets for those lenses are gonna go. Maybe I'm gonna pretend that it's gonna go there. Maybe I could just take this one and do an offset. So now it's basically constrained to the circle. So I have a little bit more control, and if I want to change something, I will be able to change it easily. Let's see, 2 millimeters. You can do by 3. The same, I will create an extrusion surface here. Maybe I will just do 2 vertex, so that always stays the same. So now the next thing that I'm gonna do is have sort of the contour of the frames defined. Now I need to start adding the surfaces for the top and the back. In this case, because I'm working very symmetrical, what I could do is just start drawing a couple of planar surface and doing some trims. Let's see. And what I'm doing here, I could probably like create this as a extruded boss base, but you know, we've been working with surface modeling, so this is there. You could do it in either way, but I want you to work with surface modeling just so you can practice this. Now the next thing that I will do is start trimming. So we'll use this one, get rid of that. Surface trim again. This one, get rid of that. That gives me kind of like the contour of the lenses, at least for now. I can repeat that operation in the back as well. So in this case, what I could do is create a plane. If I go, yeah, I could create a plane. And then use this plane to create a back surface here. So now that I have this, what can I do here? So part of my design is that since this is gonna be made out of plastic, I would like to have the nose pads here, right? Like I don't want to have nose pads. Yeah, they also do it here, right? Like everything is on plastic, right? So I need to create the shape as well. And the best way to create that shape will be to, let me see, just go like that. So I'm doing collinear here, so it's basically collinear to the edges right there. Then I could control the thickness of that, and it's just a sketch there, right? Like there's not much, nothing to do here, right? But the thing that I could do with that is, I think the best approach will be to create an extruded surface that goes all the way there. Then in this case, what I could do is use that same plane that I created here in the back and sketching this plane. And one. And then in this case, I'm going to use my convert entities. And then I will also do convert entities for this one. And then I could, for example, say, hey, just surface trim. This. And that looks ugly. Maybe we need to start that. Because if I want the bridge here, goes up. Yeah, I could address that in a bit. But basically now I have that surface right there, right? Now this is something that I could fill up with boundary surface or fill surfaces or lofted surfaces. But now because the way that I structured that sketch, I will have a little bit more room to modify this, right? So for example, if I go here, bring this down a bit, break this coincident constraint. So if I break this coincident constraint, I'm going to be able to move this down, right? And these are like things that I will address. I could address easier if I have a couple of like working models, right? For example, like a 3D printed model or a foam model, or just taking measurements of a set of eyewear that I already purchased, right? In this case, I'm kind of like eyeballing this to see how it will look. I know that my bridge attachment is going to go here. I'm going to lower this a bit. Could also increase this. I'm basically taking, I don't know, you can't see it, but I'm taking the set of eyewear that I own and then trying to overlay this on top and match that little belly right there. This could lower it as well. And if everything is fine, should have the same shape. Yeah, nice, 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 nice. I'm gonna save again. I will do boundaries. So I could take this edge right here and this one, and that doesn't work. So what I could do here is, let me see, I could, because I just need this section in order to create a boundary. So what I could do is a surface trim. This is my trimming tool. This is the surface I'm gonna remove. Now, because I removed that surface, let me see. I could also do, let's see. I'm gonna sketch in this plane, do convert entities, then convert entities here and there, and then trim. I could convert this into construction lines. And now I have that edge. And I have this one, so I could do my boundary. I just gotta make sure that I select the sketch. So sketch 12 has been selected, and now I select this edge right here. I could care about the fillets later, right? And I will repeat the process in this area as well, right? So I'll go back to my plane 1, which is the one in the back. Select this and this, convert entities, and then drop the same center lines. No, actually, I'm not dropping any lines. I'm just gonna take this and that and make it more entities. There you go. Trim again. Trim all the unnecessary stuff. Take this one, turn them into construction lines. It's important that you turn those into construction lines, otherwise they will mess. They will mess with your boundary surface or any type of surface that you're trying to create because they're solid lines, right? And then I'm gonna exit this sketch, take this boundary, at least 2 profiles as faces as sketches are required to make an open boundary surface. 3 are required. I have no idea what he's talking about. That means that I might need to use my selection manager in this case, because that line, when I convert entities, it converts this section and that section, right? That's okay. So I'm just gonna show all types, basically show my sketches, because I need to be able to see them in order to do selection manager. And then click on this one, click on this one, click OK. That's open group 1. And then in this case, you have to use selection manager again to select this one and this one. Guys, it's a little bit hard to see, but once you do it, it looks fine. Click OK. So the feature could not be created because it would produce self-intersection geometry. Oh, okay. So maybe a way that I selected these open groups or these edges was not the best. Like it maybe clicked in different locations. So what I could do right now is right click and then say flip connectors, and that in most cases will fix your connectors. Click OK. save. So now I have the little the very beginning of these lenses. I think they look a little bit too thick. Might need to address that, but yeah, whatever. If I want to, I could just go back and change the diameters that I have. So that's good. What else do I need to do here? So now I could actually start trying to create. Let's see. I board by this. Yeah, I am bothered by this. So I'm gonna go back in my feature tree and make this smaller, right? Because basically, because of the way that I constrain this, remember that this is an offset of that circle, I could go back to this and then address that dimension here. Let's say 1.5 millimeters. Click OK. And I had to rebuild the model. Now if I hide all of this, yeah, it looks so much better. And again, because I'm being really careful with how I'm building this, it has also taken care of this as well, right? The control save. The next thing here, I would like to lower that a little bit more. You see how important it is that you're able to constrain your sketches properly. Like nothing is breaking. I'm always able to go back and fix things and lower. Maybe, I don't know, insert control point there. Yeah, it looks better. I'm happy now. Okay, so I'm gonna do control save. Now I think at this point, I'm happy with the shape of this. Maybe I will need to, I need to shape this a little bit on top. Yeah, I might need to. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that for now. I'm gonna save and then start. What I could do right now is try to get a solid model out of this. So I might need to hide these surfaces for a second, or the ones on the sides. Surface trim, use this one as my cutting tool, get rid of this. Yeah, why not? Let's add a little bit of thickness here. So it's basically the same approach. So the reason that I'm adding a little bit of thickness there is because that's the area where the hinge is going to be. And those hinges need a little bit more space so it can be attached. So I'm going to add a little bit more meat in this area as well. So the process will be the same as this one. In this case, I'm trying to create that, let's say, maybe I use my sketch here. We'll also need to see this, right? So I know this line. What is this line? Okay, it's this one. So I need to watch out for this one. That's the inner thickness, the inner diameter of my glasses. So I will use my stylus spline. Pull out the sketches. So again, this curvature, I could get this at the end with the feature of flex. Consonant, so it's consonant to a plane. What is it consonant to? Okay, there you go. And again, have this one be collinear. I think that could be a surface that I wanna create there. Do surface extrude surface. That's fine. Now what I need to do again is convert entities. I need to go back to my plane one. Plane one is very important. So I'm going to sketch. And then I'm going to do convert entities. And then surface trims. That might be a lot of thickness there. So maybe I could go back to my sketch here. Increase this a bit. Yeah. want to see if I could modify my surface trim. This surface trim might break. That's good. So, okay, so in this case, for example, this one is fine, right? It's tangent there. Could be made a little bit more. It could be smoother in that area. Maybe I just slide this point that way. Ooh, you see what's going on there. I think that is because of the surface, so I'm gonna make this collinear there. Now the next thing here is that I will need to combine this edge with the frame itself, right? So it's gonna be a nice curvature. So I'm looking at my glasses. I'm trying to figure out how to create that. I think maybe the best way is to create a cut here. Do save again. Go back to my plane one. Sketch. And then do a surface trim. In this case, let's see what's happening. Okay, so that trim is affecting all of that. That's okay. That means that I also need to trim this. Also, what I could do here is take this line as well, take this little edge, and do convert entities. Then let's see if that works. Yep. So I'm only cutting that area. Now I'm gonna hide this so I can see it's better. So I think this one will be my first surface that I will try to create. And those boundary. This one should be tangent. The opposite direction, see how it works. Oh no, this direction. And the second edge should also be tangent. Yeah, it looks weird. So maybe I could adjust this surface here, the one that I created with this. Go back to my sketch. Lower this a bit more. Actually, maybe I can make this one horizontal. See what happens. I still don't like it. I'll delete this. I would like that to be a bit smoother. Maybe what I could do is a lofted surface here. That looks alright, but I'm gonna continue. So I have that. Now I need to close these gaps here. Maybe in this case I could use fill surface. See if it works. No, I won't do it. Go back to plane one, sketch, take this, convert entities, then do this. This one, and trim. Take this to construction lines. Exit, then boundary surface. I need to see my sketches for me to do a selection. That one will work fine. I'll hide this again. And this one I could try to approach. See if I could extrude that edge now. Maybe I could do. I'm trying to explore other options instead of always doing the convert entity. So I could select all of that and then do roll surfaces. Let's say normal 2. No tangent. Yeah, that works. I also need to select this little edge right here. And then surface trims. In this case, my cutting tool will be, I'll need to combine. I think this is going to be a first time that I'm going to do surface neat. Like these surfaces, just merge. Then trim surface. This is my cutting tool. This is what I'm getting rid of. Save, and I think at this point I'm happy with the shape. I think the next thing will be to start working on adding fillets. I'm gonna do Control Save. I could, though, for example, let's see if I got rid of that as well. Let's see if I could create a solid out of this right now, or just merge them all. Let's see. So create surfaces, create solid. Yep. Now that that's a solid. Check back the little guy. Okay, so now I need to cut that. I'm gonna create a new sketch. In this case, I'm sketching on the front. Sketch this and this, convert entities. Convert this to eyes, yeah. And then I could do extrusion cut. So I didn't establish the thickness of my lenses yet. The lens, not the frame. I'm gonna go for 2 millimeters. I think that's fine. If, for example, you're going for a type of lens, and exit this sketch. So in this case, my design, I want to have the lens on top, not in the middle. But if you go for a lens that goes in the middle, well, you can do it very easy by clicking in this surface, right? Because they're completely flat, you will get a plane right there. And then what you could do is you could use that same sketch. So this one, sketch. So I'm sketching in that plane. Take those sketches, convert entities, and then do an extrusion cut. Of this little contour right here. And then the mid plane. I'm gonna go here, cut this. Contours. Yeah, I don't really like that. It looks weird, right? Very symmetric. See if I could adjust that before I continue. That line. I'll click this and see if I decrease it a little bit. No, it doesn't work. So I can delete that. Before I do that, I'm gonna save because I'm not sure if this is gonna break. So I'm gonna go back. I'll save. Maybe I could. Don't really want to mess with this anymore. I'll do right click, toggle suppression. So in some instances, you can, instead of deleting a constraint, you can do toggle suppression by doing right click on the constraint icon, and then that will suppress that constraint for a minute, right? Until you do the appropriate changes. In this case, I'm trying to move this point a little bit this way, which is not allowing me to do that. Well, it kind of works, but then it's driving this one. Yeah, it's not ideal. What happens if I delete this one? No, I'm not gonna delete it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace. I'm gonna do something that is a little bit more advanced. So I'm gonna delete this one. Let's not delete that constraint. I'm gonna leave that constraint there. I'm gonna take my arc tool again, tangent. So one that is slightly closer, take this one, see if I can move it. No, I can't. Right click. I need to structure line, no. So I would like, okay, so SolidWorks, anytime that you constrain something that has a code, that will have some information that will relate to a specific line, and then SolidWorks is referencing that line for any type of geometry that you're building upon, right? If I delete this line, it will lose that reference, right? But I could replace that reference and then replace it with this line. So what I'm gonna do right here is to right click, replace entity. So replace this entity arc6. This is the one that I want to replace with this one. So I need to do the opposite. So right click, replace entity with this one. Say okay. I still have the problem that this little point is still there and it will not allow me to change, to move it to another location. Do right click in that point. Let's see, auto insert dimension, smart dimension. Tangent, make curves equal. I'm going to pass. So the issue that I had right here is that even though I already replace, I replace, maybe let's go a couple of steps back before I did replace entities, because that part is important. So this was what I had before I created that arc, and I'm not really happy with this. Like it looks like a little bulb right there. I don't like the shape. So what I'm trying to do is I don't want to break the sketch. And by breaking the sketch, I'm referring to just deleting this line. You see, so if I try to just do that, it says this item has associated dimensions or has been referenced outside the sketch, or is a seed of a sketch pattern. Long story short, that means that like if you delete that line, everything is gonna break down everything, right? So I don't want to delete it. I could replace it, right? And that's what it's telling me. You could replace entities, right? So I'm gonna create my replacement for that part. So it's gonna be a tangent arc. I'm gonna click here, the way there. I think if I place it there, I will be happy with that. It's like it looks slightly at the middle, right? Um, total suppression. So this is how it was before, right? So if for any reason, for example, like if I want to make, again, I don't want to delete any constraints, and this is only important if you are manufacturing stuff, right? Uh, Usually products that are machine, any time of manufacturing process, those 3D models are very complex. They have a lot of constraints. They have a lot of information. Uh, there is a lot of references to surfaces, specific sketches, right? And the reason they do that is because they want to control how that part is machined, right? Um, that's why I'm getting into a little bit of this, because this is what I had to do for my previous job, right? Um, but in this case, for example, the only thing that I would like to do here is I don't want to use this arc anymore. I want to use this one. This constraint, I still would like to use it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able, but for now, I'm going to do right click on it, and instead of delete it, I'm going to say toggle. So that means that constraint is no longer active. It's not being deleted, but it's no longer active. The next thing that I'm going to do is click on this line, click on this one, right click, replace entity. So I'm going to be replacing this sketch entity. And you can see a feature manager right here. It says replace this entity, arc2, which is this one, with this one. And I could say make construction, delete. I'm going to say make construction. Always make construction. Again, I don't want to delete that part, right? Now, the next thing that I have, or like the next issue, is that I would like to connect these two, right? This one only move back up and down, and the reason that it's doing this is because it's tangent, right? This is basically following that. So if I click on this one, I could see that tangent there, right? I tried deleting this, and it still didn't allow me to do anything. So instead of deleting that constraint, what I found out is that I could do a, or was it detach? I think I found it here. I click on this point, construction geometry. Sketch. Yeah, I need to click on this one, go to here. I'm gonna go to tools, sketch tools. And I went to spline, a split entity. So I'm gonna use a split entity so I can split this. Right, so it basically creates like a little split in between those two lines. And I could delete that one, and that will free up my point without having to delete anything. Now I should be able to move this here. I might change my shape a little bit, but that's okay. And take this one, so make the tangent again. And now it looks a little bit better. So if I exit this, everything should be a-okay. I still don't like it, but whatever. That's better than before. So I'm gonna do Control Save. I'm gonna hit up, see my solid lines to see what I have. At this stage, I could probably start adding the lenses, right? I think the lens will be easy to create if I, for example, control it in this manner. If I create a plane, I want to be able to see my planes. Yeah, maybe I don't need a plane. I could use my top plane, because my top plane is want to make sure that the center of this circle, and yeah, perfect. So I could use my top plane for this lens. I think I could drive it with the simplest thing that I could think of right now is just drive it with an arc. But I would like to have some control. Let's see, could use 3-point arc, attach it here. Just lightly make it so that it matches that. Yeah, that's about right. So I could use this one. I want to see if I could run a boundary circle with just that information. I don't think I can, but might as well try. Yeah, I can. Delete this direction. Can't. Can do. And then I'm gonna do this one. Nah, doesn't work like that. Okay, so I will need to create a little plane. So I'm gonna check my sketches. I might have a line here. Let's see what would be the best way to do this. Maybe edit sketch. So since I'm referring everything to to this edge, this circle here that is basically referencing one of my original sketches, this one, what I could do is take a line, and in this case, what I'm trying to do is create a line so I could create a plane, right? And this will be a construction line. Okay. That is going to allow me to create this plane. In total hindsight, I think I could have just do a surface revolve, but I wanna try this. And I will do the same. I will do center line, zoom in this little point, and then I'm gonna create my arc right here. In this case, what I need to do is take this arc and make it constant here. So that's what I will do. I will try to click it in a way that I get access to that midpoint. I didn't intersect there. Maybe I need to add a point. So midpoint. Then you take this one. Let's say pierce. Okay, pierce works. Now that I have that, I could go back, see my sketch, surface boundary. This will be my direction 1, and then my direction 2. Right, and that will be the beginning of my lens. Click OK. Now I could use the sphere shapes. So what I could do here now is take that surface trim, get rid of this excess right here, hide all of this. And yes, I know, like if I'm gonna have the lens and the plastic, I'm gonna have a tiny gap here, right? I could address that later with a fillet. It's looking nice. Save. For example, I know this is 2 millimeters because that is the dimension that I created, the dimension, the cut depth for that little cut right here. Now, if I look at this, it says 2. So maybe what I could do is do instead of doing an offset, because offset would allow me to move this 2 millimeters forward or backwards. But the only issue that that offset surface has is that it will slightly increase or decrease your surface, right? So I could create it and see what's happening. Let's hide this body. Yeah, you see how this one is slightly smaller. In this case, I think that we could get away with this, right? But if you really want to go for for the same size or the same diameter in this copy, like I'm trying to duplicate this, I will go for a surface, for a feature line pattern, right? And in this case, I will use bodies because it's a surface body. Click on this one. And in this case, I'm going direction 1, and I could say front plane, right? So that is normal to my front plane. And I could say go in the back and then 2 millimeters, right? And that will place my lens in the right position at the right distance, same diameter, right? Now we'll click OK. Save. And now if I hide this, I should be able to see that now I have my lens. Wow, what is this? Oh, because I did more than one instance, I believe. Yep. Oh, I duplicated the wrong one. So it's not this one, it's this one. I just need to make sure that I delete this surface offset that I created. Yes. And then I have the lens, right? Other thing that I could do as well, and sadly, because we're not able to print, we can really practice with this, but when you're prototyping things, either printing or like actually machining things, you need to account for tolerances, right? For example, this lens has a diameter, and the cavity that is going to be installed on is another diameter, right? I will need to have a little gap, a little tolerance between the plastic and the lens, right? Usually you can I usually just use calipers for this, but then I know for experience that at least like 3/1000 of an inch will be good enough for me to be able to fit that part, at least on printed parts, right? So I could go back to, let's say, how do I create this one? Sketch 21. instead of modifying this, what I could do is do a tiny surface trim. I'm gonna make this visible again. And then what that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here, use that sketch. This one right here, see if we can see that. Yeah, this is sketch. So I'm going to do a sketch. Maybe I can do it on my front plane. So I'm gonna trim a small amount of that lens so that it fits and it has a nice gap in between. So I'm gonna do front plane, sketch. I will take this. I'm just gonna go back to see where that sketch is. That is sketch. Offset on the dollar. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a convert entities, offset. That's not the offset I want. I'm gonna say 0.002 inches. Very tiny, but it's enough. Let's see, 1 millimeter, that's a lot. That will account for maybe point. Yeah, that's better. So I'm gonna do slider 0.5 millimeters. Okay. So now I have to make this into a construction line. I don't need this one. Hide everything else. I would also hide these frames, right? And it's hard to see, but if I zoom in, I should be able to see that this line is slightly smaller than that the lens itself, right? So I'm gonna do surface trim. And I should be able to delete that, this one. Ooh, I also want to do this on both of them. And now I could also control that, right? Like if I go back to my surface trim, this one. Modify this one. Maybe as well. And so do here, because this one is a simple one, so it will be just a loft. To create my length, and I will say create solid. And again, like I said, you know, if I want to control this a little bit, I could add a tiny fillet. It will be too large. Then I could show back this again. And I know I haven't started working on fillets or anything like that yet. But then, for example, I could start adding all the little features that I had in my sketches. So if I want to start working on the fillets, I'll probably start working on the sides. Yeah, because that's the only sharp one there. I could also work on a fillet here on this edge. This will be a small one. This one is going to be a special fillet. Let's see. So I want to try doing something that we haven't tried before. So there is symmetric, asymmetric. So basically, with this approach, you can control specific sections of your fillets. Should I do it this way? Let's see. How else? Because I really want to get this smooth. If I look at my eyewear, maybe I will use this one. So this type of fillet is called variable size fillet. So the size will vary, will be different in specific areas, right? Or I could say, hey, this is the specific area where I want the radius to be higher. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete these selections. Right, let's save this for next. In this case, I could have also used, instead of just creating this as a boundary, I could have also used because now that I'm looking at the glasses, the plastic part, I don't know if you guys can see it from here. But there is let's see, can I see myself? Doesn't let me see it. Anyway, there's a slight curvature here. It might be hard for you to see from the camera. There's a little curve, right? So maybe I could have done that with, instead of a boundary, to have this completely flat. I could have had a slight curvature here, which I still could though. Let's try to fix that. So I want to use I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this as my reference here. Let's see if I could do it. I'm going to take the line reference plane. In this case, I know my front plane is the one that is in that location. Create this plane right here. And then with that plane, what I'm going to do is sketch. See if that will do it. And then features, revolve. See if I could do a sweep cut. So in this case, for example, this step would have been easier to execute back when everything was a surface, but I'm gonna see if I could do it as a solid. So I'm basically doing a surface cut, right? This is gonna be my cutting object. So that line. Now maybe I could do a replace surface. So what I'm gonna do here is I have this one. That's gonna be my profile. I'm gonna go to surfaces. This could literally be a path, right, for that surface. So I'm gonna do a surface sweep. And this is gonna be a good example for replacing surfaces or cutting with surfaces. I'm gonna take that, that's gonna be my profile. For my path, I'm gonna use selection manager, so I could select these edges right here. I don't really know why this is selected. There we go. Say okay. Right, because if somebody's gonna wear this, that's gonna be too rough. Usually in eyewear, what happens is that once they machine the piece out of the plastic, the plastic coupon, it goes into a tumbler machine that will make sure that everything gets rounded. It uses wood pellets, and it's basically a gigantic cylinder. And it rounds everything, right? So like these things don't happen after machining. I'm gonna clear exit. Yep, I like that. That's nice. And let's see if this happens. Let's see if I could do cut with surface. Surface parameters, that one. Selected bodies, just in case. Ooh, it worked, but the opposite direction. Cut with surface. That's the surface. This is the body, but in this case, I'm gonna point this outward, so it cuts only that part. Ooh, nice. Now now I'm actually starting to work in like different dimensions, right? Everything was basically an extrusion. Now I'm starting to like add cuts into this, right? I could go back to evaluate and just use the zebra strips and see how it looks. It's not very smooth. Oh, I see. So in this case, what I need to do for that to be smoother, I could take this line right here and then say vertical and decrease this one a little bit. I might need to reproduce this card right here. Yeah, I'm just gonna delete it and do it again. Yes. There's my surface, showing my surface. So yeah, because I added that vertical constraint to a line right here. Now this is tangent to the surface, right? Technically, I didn't make it tangent. I just made this line vertical, but this is vertical, right? Because that was an extrusion surface, right? So now if I go back to my surfaces and say cut with surface. And the only reason that this is working is because the surface is completely intersecting this and is exiting the solid body, right? Is entering the body here at this point. It goes into the body, right? And then exits the body here, right? That's why the cut is working. So if you try this approach and it doesn't work, you might need to make your surface bigger, right? Or attach it to something that is a solid edge, right? So for example, I attach this profile here, right? So I'm gonna say this surface, this body, and remember to flip that side. Operation failed due to geometric condition. Interesting. Okay. Then maybe again, so yeah, so my surface might need to be bigger. I don't want to mess with the path or anything because I'm actually using this edge right here as a path for that sweep. So what I can do is a surface extend. It basically extends the surface a little bit more. Click OK. See if that helps, and then I'm going to do cut with surface. That surface, this body, the opposite direction. Yeah, it's not doing it. Let's see why. Maybe because of that tangent area, like there's a little gap there that is not able to cut. So I'm gonna exit this, delete this sweep. Yes. Sketch. See if this one works. And if it doesn't work, then I'm just gonna go back to the original one where this one is not a vertical line, and then just add a fillet there. Exit, sweep surface. Take that as sketch. So you forgot to do selection manager. In this case, I'm gonna try to see if I can make this sweep slightly longer, just in case. I know that's weird, but we're not interacting with that at all. So it shouldn't be a problem. And now I'm gonna see if it works. Cut with surface again. This is the body. Come on, work. Operation due to, okay. So I'm gonna take this one, click on it, take that vertical, delete, So no longer vertical, and then also get rid of it. So there was no, I could keep trying to fix it, but it's gonna take a while. So at this point, I'm just gonna keep working with it. So I'm gonna do a surface sweep again. Selection manager, take all this. Say okay. That's one. So yeah, I could pick, because the profile is inside the path. It's giving me the option to either do that section, this section, or the full section, right? Color with surface. Take this one. That works. Now I could take, for example, I think one of the questions that came up last week is like, oh, what do you do with like the surfaces? In this case, I might not need the surface anymore, so I'm just gonna go, I will not delete it here, because then that will delete the surface for good, right? I could go back here and say delete. Okay. Control save. Now that I have that, I could also apply that process to for example, add a little bit of a curvature here as well. In that case, I will need to get rid of these fillets. I think fillets are like the last thing that you should do. Let's delete these ones. Control save. The one that I don't delete is the one with the lenses. For example, in this area, like if you look at your sunglasses, they will have like the surface on top, it will be slightly slanted, and they do that so they could match the temples, right? Because temples are usually slanted. So I could also do that here, and it will actually start like looking very nice. So I might do a plane, or I could just click on the surface and sketch, and then what I'm sketching here will be a stylus spline. Right, and then you could adjust this little point right here. See, I'm gonna leave it there, and again, I'm gonna do a surface sweep. Take this as my profile. I'm sorry, myself, because it's very glitchy. Yeah, it won't let me select that sketch. So, do a surface sweep. Selection manager. See if I just leave it up there. See what happens. So it creates that surface. Maybe in this case, it will be worth for me to stop that cut at some point. Let me see. This should not be, I don't know what that is. Let me see, okay. Yeah, no, that's not the right approach there. Maybe what I do is that I will have to sketch my own surface sweep, and then that will be the end for this demo. So I have my profile there. I will go to my front plane because that's where that face resides. Sketch. In this case, I could take these edges and do convert entities. Maybe it exits here. Maybe I don't need to use this one. Yeah, there you go. Convert entities. So it's hard to see, but my sketch is there. It does the sketch. We didn't do a sketch. Entities, and then add a tangent arc here. The reason that I'm doing this is because I don't want my cut to affect this area, because that's the area where my nose bridge is gonna go, right? We'll convert entities too. So I want that cut to just exit, right? And exit in a way that is elegant, at least the cut, right? So I could do it there. Even here. And now, instead of using the edge to make that surface sweep, I will use that sketch that I just created. So I'm gonna do surfaces, surface sweep. Open this, my profile, my path. There you go. Sweet. And then say OK. And then cut with surface. Again, I gotta do the opposite direction. And then take that surface and delete it. Other thing is that maybe you don't want to delete the surfaces because you want to go back and edit them, but you can always just go back directly to the surface sweep and modify it, right? This is just to keep this a little bit organized. And now that also has a nice surface, right? And then save. Let's start the demo now.